past 5 years, there's been a dramatic, palpable shift in the automotive world towards electric vehicles. Automakers who were once wary and/or dismissive of plug-in technology have now begun experimenting with their own plug-in vehicles, while others have gone even further, promising complete electrification over the next 10 to 15 years, while unveiling a series of concept cars and production-ready vehicles. Even then, however, it's been hard to take some automakers seriously, especially when they continue to pump out high-powered, heavily polluting internal combustion engined models. But at this week's Geneva Motor Show, exactly 1 year after it showcased a prototype e-tron SUV to the world, Audi has showcased more plug-ins it says we'll see in dealerships very soon. And its entire stand in Geneva was entirely devoted to plug-in cars. That's right, not a single non-plug-in car to be seen. In a world where internal combustion engined vehicles still outsell electric cars, that's quite a bold move for Audi to make. Audi's going all in with electric cars, with a quartet of all-electric models and 4 plug-in hybrids at the show that Audi says we'll see on the roads by the end of next year. And if what folks have experienced with the Audi e-tron is anything to go by, Audi is about to really shake the market up. For the fully electric models, in addition to the production version of the e-tron Quattro, which Audi says is soon to begin deliveries to customers in Europe, Audi used Geneva to quietly showcase the e-tron Sportback, as well as give the European debut of the Audi e-tron GT and the global debut of the Audi Q4 e-tron. The Audi e-tron GT, of course, has already seen quite a lot of coverage since it debuted back in November at the LA Auto Show. And we know from some sneak test drives offered there that it is, despite its concept car status, a drivable, working prototype that looks just about ready for production. While some automakers go all out and really crazy with their concept cars, Audi does tend to call any not currently in production vehicle a concept car. In the case of the Audi e-tron GT, this is most certainly the case, and I think it's the same with the Audi e-tron Sportback. Built on the same platform as the Audi e-tron, it essentially shares the same underlying architecture. The e-tron Sportback sits a little lower than the e-tron crossover. It's sleeker than the e-tron, and the video provided by Audi after its press conference suggests it too is just about ready for production. Sure, it's wearing the same camouflage as any other prototype vehicle undergoing testing, but we'll see this within a year, says Audi, and I believe it. The e-tron Sportback will be Audi's second all-electric model, positioned between the e-tron launch and the e-tron GT launch. As to the Q4 e-tron, well, smaller than the Audi e-tron, it too is a crossover and, despite its smaller size, still promises to pack an impressive punch. On display as a concept car in Geneva, its production is a little further out, but Audi is promising it will enter into production at the end of next year. Pricing hasn't yet been discussed, but it's probable that it will cost a lot less than the e-tron. We don't know the price, but we do know something else. While the family similarities are obvious between the e-tron and the Q4 e-tron, the Q4 e-tron promises an even larger range than its big brother, with Audi quoting a 280-mile range on the WLTP test cycle. The 0 to 62 miles per hour time is 6.3 seconds, made possible by twin motors all-wheel drive, putting out 225 kilowatts. And there's an 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which promises a similar 150 kilowatt CCS quick charging capabilities as the e-tron and the e-tron Sportback. Inside, at least from what we've seen, the Q4 e-tron, which by the way is based on the MEB toolkit that will underpin many of the Volkswagen Group's promised plug-in cars, it has an almost identical feel to the bigger e-tron. Interestingly though, the concept doesn't include the digital rear-view cameras we saw on the e-tron concept, suggesting perhaps that the smaller, cheaper Q4 e-tron may drop that tech in the interests of a much lower price point. With both the Audi e-tron Sportback and Audi Q4 e-tron promised to enter production next year, you'd think that Audi's plug-in offerings would stop there. They would for most other so-called traditional automakers, but says Audi it will unveil an all-new electric model for the Chinese market in just a few weeks in the form of the Audi Q2L e-tron, a long-wheelbase Q2 SUV. With such a large push towards electric vehicles and the massive investment that entails, I think it's very hard to do anything other than take Audi's switch to electric vehicles very, very seriously. Audi also used Geneva as a chance to showcase new plug-in hybrid variants of its A6 and A8 sedans, as well as its A7 Sportback and Q5 SUV. Rather than use the e-tron moniker of previous plug-in hybrids, Audi says the e-tron is now going to be used exclusively for its electric models. The new plug-in hybrids now get TFSIe badges instead. Each model has a 14.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack, pouch cells for the A6, A7 and A8, while prismatic for the Q5, and Audi says they'll offer, quote, more than 40 kilometres in the WLTP cycle, a quote that suggests that Audi is still finalising specs for each of these production models. Interestingly too, each of these plug-in hybrids comes with a heat pump for cabin heating standard, which is more efficient than a resistive heater. They all come with onboard 7.2 kilowatt AC charging, meaning far faster recharge times and longer electric-only operation than many previous generation plug-in hybrids. I mean, yes, they could have a longer all-electric range in total, and yes, they could be all-electric. But if you combine these plug-in hybrids with the all-new electric models Audi is now readying for market, or has already started production on, it's really clear that it wants a piece of the premium electric car market. Don't you agree? That's it. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.